One organisation that is acutely aware of change is the nation's postal and delivery service, Australia Post. For years, it's been battling the decline of its letters service and has become more heavily reliant on its parcel services, including Star Trek Express, to bolster its business and also its revenues. Alarmingly, two things happened this week that raise questions about Australia Post in the future. For the federal government and for the Communications Minister, Annika Wells, key decisions probably need to be made. The first shock this week came as Australia Post suspended the delivery of small parcels to America worth less than $800 US. Now, this is because of Donald Trump's decision to hit all imports with tariffs, not just those worth more than $800. This directly and immediately impacts thousands of small businesses that use Australia Post to access the US market. The second point came from Australia Post results. It produced a profit of $18.8 million pre-tax compared with a loss last year of $88 million. Its parcel revenue, though, $7.6 billion, was up almost 3%. And this is despite a spate of new global e-commerce platforms in Australia that drive up competition and drive prices down. Well, the Group Chief Executive of Australia Post is Paul Graham, who joins me now. Paul, always great to chat to you. Can I just start with the whole issue of exporting goods to the United States worth less than $800 US? Can you explain why you had to put a hold on those deliveries right now?
Yeah, thank you, Ross, and good to chat to you. Look, it was a difficult decision that we had to make, along with literally hundreds of other postal operators around the world. This was supposed to be implemented in 2027, so we thought, as did other operators, that we had plenty of time, but then it was brought forward and we had to make a decision on fairly short notice because we were convinced at this time that would be implemented. If we hadn't made that decision, that would have meant that products would have been shipped to the US and then the duties and taxes would have been applied, which may have been a financial surprise for our customers who are shipping and a difficult situation and complex situation for that money to be recovered from them or indeed from their customers in the US. So we had to make the call along with many other postal operators. We've made that call. We still have a commercial product that allows customers to get their products to the US that bypasses the traditional postal channels. We've had that in place for many years. But yes, that traditional postal to postal channel is the one that we've suspended. We're now working around the clock to implement a solution with Zonos, one of the approved providers of technology by the US government that will allow us to calculate the duties and taxes and recover that money before those goods are shipped to the US.
Because as far as I understand it, you can either pay the duty here in Australia or you pay it at the other end, the tariff at the other end, the person who's picking it up. But the question about when it's paid and therefore who has the obligation to pay it, that becomes a part of the dilemma that you had to work out as a postal service.
That's exactly right. And it depends on the terms of sale that the retailer has with the end user as to who pays. The bottom line is someone has to pay under these new rules. And as you mentioned in your introduction, previously anything under $800 US was not subject to tariffs and taxes. So incredibly complex process to implement a new solution that covers every tariff and tax in the US and making sure that those are calculated correctly. And then there's a recovery mechanism in that money then gets paid to the US government.
Well, in your results out late this week, you also talked about the competition that is out there. Now, we spoke earlier in the week with FedEx, who said it already has a solution to get goods into the United States with the tariffs paid. I presume DHL would be similar. They said they'd had experience having dealt with goods out of China and Hong Kong in the past. So I'm just wondering, with the amount of competition that's already out there, are you worried about you losing business clients right now as a result of this decision?
Yeah, look, we're always worried about when disruption hits our customers and what that would mean to ensuring those customers stay with us. We do have, as I said, a product similar to what FedEx and DHL have, a purely commercial product that bypasses the traditional postal channels. But like DHL and FedEx, it is more expensive. And obviously, when our customers are looking to pay duties and taxes for the first time on top of what would be a more expensive solution, that's a difficult decision. That's why our focus is on developing the technology that will allow us to implement the recovery of those duties and taxes in our traditional mail network, which we can do at a more economic price.
What's the feedback been like this week?
Look, it's been challenging for our customers, and we respect that, and we would prefer not to have made that decision. We would have preferred to have more time to work with them and implementing the right solutions. But we're no different from every other postal jurisdiction, every other government around the world. This has come on fast and furious. As I say, originally it was planned to come into place in 2027, but the gate posts were moved, and we had to react to that. We are working feverishly to implement this solution, and I'm hopeful it'll be a matter of weeks, not months, before we'll be able to go back to those customers and say we can go back to the traditional postal channels, and we've got a solution that allows you to know in comfort what you're paying up front, that those duties and taxes will be collected, and that you can sell in confidence to the US market.
Okay, so if I'm a small exporter, I've got some products, and the US is a big market. It's obviously, with the Aussie dollar relatively low, I've got a bit of an advantage there. What's your advice to me right now? Do I go to your commercial service to try and get my goods into the States until this solution does come along? And I presume it's some sort of a software/payments type system that you're going to try and develop.
Correct. Yeah, the system itself will be when you log on to book a parcel to the US, it will ask you for the description of those goods. It will ask you for the value of those goods. The system will then automatically calculate duties and taxes. It will bill whoever is responsible for those depending on the terms of sale, and then that money will be collected and delivered into the US Treasury. But for those customers that have an ongoing need to make sure they are shipping regularly to the US, we would suggest the use of our commercial product to do that, because that sustains that service to those customers. Or if they can, to look at holding back on selling to that market for a period of time, but that's incredibly difficult. So the short-term fix, use the commercial product that we have available and others, as you mentioned, whilst we are working night and day to implement the long-term solution that will then enable them to come back to our more traditional US export product.
So from your results this week, there are a few other things, and parcels becomes a big feature of this. You're now facing more competition in Australia in that parcels delivery service. Yet it is your parcel delivery service that you and I have spoken about many times before that helps to prop up the letters delivery service, which is declining at a rapid rate. If you've got more pressure on the parcels business and you're not as profitable in the future as you are right now, does that again raise viability questions about Australia Post overall?
Look, we are in a difficult situation, not different to many other postal operators who we've seen go to government and not perform financially well, and therefore given funding from governments to either pay for their community service obligations or indeed to prop them up financially. We are not in that situation. We do not take any money from government. We are completely self-sufficient financially, and we want to maintain that self-sufficiency. But what we're going to have to do is continue to evolve and modernise our business and work with our stakeholders, be it union partners, be it the government, be it customers, be it community, to ensure that we are evolving in a way that allows us to remain competitive in that highly competitive parcel business. But balancing that, Ross, and you and I have spoken about it before, with those community obligations that we have, particularly in rural and remote Australia, around our post office network, around the services we deliver into those communities. They're essential service and ones that we take very, very seriously and want to continue to sustain. So it's striking a balance, but we believe we have a pathway forward. The small profit we indicated that we've produced for last year shows that our plan is working, our strategy is working, but we're going to need more support. We're going to need more support. Our goal is to build the best alternative to the platform players for the Australian retailers so they can compete on price, they can compete on service, and they can compete on flexibility. So you'll see us doubling down on parcel lockers, on new products and new services that allow them to be competitive against, as you say, the onslaught of the global platform players.
Paul Graham, Chief Executive of Australia Post, who again saw an 11.7% decline in letters volumes had it not been for the federal election. Paul, always good to chat to you, and many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Russ. All the best.